inside Zed Run. Tonight we have Doughboy of the PonyPlug, co-founder, and we have Roid Rager Racing, the man, the myth, the legend of Breaking Zed. And tonight we have MJ Stables and myself, Golden Glow Master. MJ Stables being the king of speed and one of the top data analysts inside the entire platform of Zed. And myself, a Golden Glow Master, the independent game developer.
Too kind.
How's everybody doing tonight?
Really good. Really happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Really, really happy to have you.
Yeah, we're looking forward to closing out Sunday night on a high note.
Yeah.
Nice.
And so,
welcome, guys. Thank you for spending your Sunday or Monday with us.
Monday.
So I guess just kind of want to hear how both of you got into Zed, and was there like any one person or group that like really inspired you? Was it a news article? Like how did you find Zed, and kind of what got you into the platform initially?
You can go first, Doughboy.
I'll take it off. For me, I got into Zed right before the boom, but I'd seen Zed last year, mid-year, and I wasn't messing with crypto at the time, so I was on Twitch searching horse racing late at night, and saw digital horses, colorful horses running on a straight track, and I dug into it, looked at it, and I saw it runs on ETH network, and again I wasn't into crypto, so passed over it. Did the same with Top Shot, and then got into Top Shot early in the year, and basically transitioned to Zed, and I was able to get into the first drop. Basically, the drop right after the player base went from 400 to 1,600 in like 3 hours.
Yeah,
that's the drop I got in.
Wow.
I had $500 floating around extra to mess with, and I bought ETH, made the wallets, did all that, and I ended up with 3 horses out of the drop, and that's started from there. So that's when I started. That's when I got in, and it was like a shoe-in for me for the most part. Horse racing has been a part of my life since day one of me being in existence. So digital horse racing is just a shoe-in.
In what capacity?
So like my father trained horses. My father was a gallop boy, we call him. He exercised the horses every morning, took them out, did workouts. So my grandfather was a gambler, so going to the racetrack was nothing for him. So he would take me out in the mornings during training, and like I would go up and sit on the rail and watch the races, or like I would go clean a stall, I would go, fill some water buckets, walk a horse or two. Like I was just in it. Like it's just nice. It's one of those things, like it's just in my veins. And like as I got older, I would go out to the racetrack as a teenager and like hustle, run horses at night to make like, an extra $100 just to have spending money, and just took off from there. I got my own horses when I was 20 and got in the game, and I've been a part of it's just one of those things, like it's part of my genes, like it's just there. So it was, for me, it's a shoe-in. Just anything horse racing is just like, you got my attention. And the stats and everything as well, just carrying over, reading programs, and like I learned how to read a program at like 7 years old, so all that stats, all the workouts, like following trends with that, like everything just it transfers over essentially. So
that's awesome.
It was a smooth transition for me.
Very, very cool. And what about you, Roid Rager?
I got in probably not as early as Doughboy, but I think it was just before the April drop. I also love horse racing, love stats, analyzing stats, and I forget how I came across Zed Run. I think I was sort of interested in hearing about NFTs, but Top Shot at the time, I didn't like that there wasn't any utility to it. It was just a picture to me, or like a GIF, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And then I heard about Zed Run, and I was keen to just get in the drop and get something like a Z10 or something. And then the more I kept hearing about it, the more excited I got, hearing an interview with the developers and just how optimistic they were, and being part of the community and just seeing everyone's optimism. I just gradually increased my expectations for the drop, and ended up getting a Z2 from the drop. And then the rest is history.
So both of you have drop horses. Do you still have those horses, and how are they doing for you? Do you still like them? What was that experience? How was that experience for you?
Do you want to go ahead, Roy? You can take the first
Okay.
one. So.
Yeah, the Z2 I got, its named is Buffed, and it's actually the mum of Roid Rager. So she did very well for me. But I only ever raced her like maybe 3 times, and I didn't know anything about distance preference or anything. So I think it got like 20 odds at long distance, and then I like thought, oh, it's not very good. Maybe it's a breeder. So I didn't really race it anymore. And then just in the tournament recently, I decided to bring her out of retirement, and she actually qualified for the quarterfinals. So
No
as
way.
a sprinter, so like
That's awesome.
you can like dig into these old horses, and there's still value in them. Like so, yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah, pretty exciting to go back and find that for sure.
Congrats on that. That's awesome. What
Yeah,
a what a great kind of revisit. What a great find there.
yeah, it was for sure.
What about you, Doughboy?
Yeah, the three that I ended up scooping, I still have. So I ended up with two females and a colt, two Z9s and a Z10, I think, and the they all stink. So there's that. Um, but I ended up the one mare, she gave me an offspring that is currently my producer. So
That's awesome.
I haven't really had. I don't want to try and go off the rails here, but I haven't really had time to test like breeding because again, to me the minimums are putzed up right now and need fixed. But that's another topic. But yeah, I still have my three. I had Gangster Love, Vicious, and Pillar Box. The two mares I was very happy because the names I really liked. Um, and then Pillar Box is I tried to qualify him for the Zed tournament, but he just doesn't like to stay consistent. So he loves to finish fourth. So did both mares, same thing. Like I got him up to class 2 from class 4, and that's now they're just sitting there. There's nothing else to be done. So
Oh,
That's brutal.
it is what it is.
what I mean, I think there's some obvious answers here, but just for everyone watching, favorite horses within your stables. Doughboy, starting with you.
I have two. I have a favorite breeder and a favorite racer.
I like that
Uh,
answer.
Coincidentally enough, my favorite racer comes from my favorite breeder, so
Oh, even
everything's
better.
tied together. An Unexpected Birth is my first horse that was my first breeding experiment that actually paid off, and I figured out. Great sprinter, has a natural down button with distance races, so he's a profitable horse. But it's tough. It's tough right now because all the paid races are kind of stacked. So
Yeah.
he's on ice. And then my other one is my mare 3-6 Mafia, who's my producer. You can put her with any male. It doesn't really matter. You get a 10% runner every time. Like it's beautiful. I think I have 9 foals with her, and all of them but one are over 10%. So I'm really happy with that.
What was the experiment for Unexpected Birth? I believe you said something. Maybe I
I
misheard you.
put
Or like the theory
the
behind it.
mother. So 3-6 Mafia, the mother's a Genesis, and the father I put with a legendary Zabo, the Witness, and the Witness is a son of 365, who is a Genesis Zabo, I believe, but she is the grandmother of a lot of really good horses, and she's also like foaled a lot of decent runners and breeders. So that was I think Zabo blood. A lot of people get on. I think Zabos are like the core of breeding. I really like mixing them with a lot of things. So put them together. Got 3-6, who was exclusive right off the bat, and didn't. She's not really a racer. You know what I mean? She's seconds, thirds, but like not really a racer. And then I had a exclusive knock. Back when breeding was cheap, and I could do these experiments for $80 and get it to pay off. I wanted to put the knock with her to have knock Zabo
Oh, nice.
in the foal, and I did it. I got Unexpected Birth, and then I did the same breeding again, and I got another like meh offspring, and then I did it a third time, and then the third one was like a 10%er. So it wasn't like much of like I don't know. There's a lot to this game has many outs. You can do a lot of things, and there's a lot of testing that you can do, and no one really knows right now. But I'm a big fan of following trends, and being able to figure out that my mare doesn't really need to be with a top tier stallion. Like I can just throw it with a block, a donkey, and I'm still going to get a decent runner. To me, that's a trend that I can follow and
It's a huge one.
keep producing that same like tier of offspring for the most part. But yeah, those two are my
Favorite.
go-tos for both sides.
Okay. And so, Roid Ranger. So who are your favorite two horses?
My favorite,
That you
definitely Roid Rager is my most prized horse. I will take a lot to let him go. But I think my favorite racer is a horse called Wedgie. You may have come across him on the track. He's a sprinter, but he's not like at the top level of sprinters. But and I've just worked so hard on him. Took me a long time to figure him out. For a long time, he was getting really good odds, but would come like 6th and 7th all the time. And I was just thinking, like, do the odds even mean anything? But I kept persevering with him, and now he looks like a really good U-shaped horse. And he qualified for the tournament as well, and he just sort of snuck in, and then he got flames in the quarterfinal, and I was hoping he could make it all the way and be that Z17 in the final that everyone could cheer on, because I have a soft spot for him, and he's been the one I've been enjoying racing the most, I think.
Okay, that's good. A question I have. This is gonna go off track really fast, right? Because you bred Roid Rager, and it in essence broke breeding, and so there's two questions. Zombie wants to know if you can get whoever you sold Roid Rager to race the horse again, if it's possible. And I want to know exactly how you broke the breeding algorithm.
Well, firstly, I didn't know what I was doing. It was the first horse I ever bred.
Wow.
I just went on. Yeah, it was a really busy time. I think breeding had just opened, so everyone was breeding all at once. And I think what happened was there was two breeds that went through at the exact same time. And someone got a horse that said the mum was my horse buffed, but he didn't have buffed. So that was the other part of Roid Rager, I guess. So there's four parents went to two horses, but this other horse I don't think was as good. But yeah, something happened. Something crossed over, and he got four parents somehow. I never saw evidence of it, actually. So maybe, I don't know. But it's pretty obvious he was way too good for everyone, and it just wouldn't have been fair if he kept racing. I think in one race there was a Zed Run that got 51 odds against him. So that sort of shows like the level. It was just ridiculous. And what was the second part? Sorry.
I forgot. Damn. Hold on.
If I could race him again.
Yes.
I definitely don't want to race him. But one day, if somebody, actually, it would take a big incentive to race him. Like there was recently an announcement about the Netflix movie, and they were going to have a race for like the most storied racehorses in Zed Run, and I can't think of a more storied racehorse than Roid Rager. So like, if they want to put a big prize on the line or do something, like that's the kind of incentive that I'd need to get him out there, because I don't think it would be a smart move to race him anymore. I've seen what happened. I have another horse, Jellybean, who I bought. It was another glitch horse, and they raced it again, and it didn't go well. So, probably take a big incentive to race Roid Rager again.
Well, he is a Z5, right?
I think he was a glitch, but he was the best of the glitches, I guess. So, I think.
Well, him and Escobar, I would have loved to seen him and Escobar if they ever bring back custom. When custom racing gets here, that would be like so.
Well, just a 2-horse race.
Yeah.
I was actually talking with the owner of Escobar at the time, and we were talking about like, let's organize a match race, because everyone was saying they want to see Escobar and Roid Rager race each other, and we were like, let's wait for a bit, and maybe some like big charity event or something, we could get them out there. But then they fixed everything, so that sort of ruined that.
That'd be
Yeah,
tough.
maybe one day.
Honestly, well, I mean, they both both horses have game at every distance, so like that would be you just run all distances and that'd be it. Just a match race. That'd be beautiful.
That would definitely be
That'd
beautiful.
be awesome.
Yes. And for people who don't know, yes, Roid Rager and Escobar, the two horses we're talking about, somehow they got glitched when they were bred, where they had four parents into each into the horse itself, and so we don't know why or how they were drawing every horse in every single race. They were getting no more than 1.8 odds. And if you were here when odds were here, you would know that's fucking ridiculous. Excuse my language. But 1.8 odds and throwing everything up to like 50, 60, 70. Like if you're on Know Your Horses or Know Your Horses, because that's the only place I know that carries odds right now. You can see it. You'll be like, wow. And so these horses, they shut down breeding from, I believe, April. Was it April?
Yeah, it was open for maybe 2 days in April.
I don't even think it was that long. I think it was like 16 hours, really, because I woke up and I had to be at work at 2, and I woke up at 11:30 and saw the breeding was open, and I just put my 2 mares in twice, because you could breed twice. Got my 4 foals, went to work, and by the time I came home, breeding was done. Like, wow. I think it was like midnight that day, and then just done like in the early evening, and that's a part of the lore. Like, a lot of people weren't around for that. Like, I guess I was lucky to get in at that time, but like and then there was no breeding for like 4 months. It was it was crazy.
Yeah, it wasn't just the glitch horses that were the issue. I think if you look at how many horses came out of that 16-hour breeding period, you have like Vanilla Bean, Poodle to the Moon,
there were a lot.
Crimson Chin, I think maybe came out of there. There was way too many good horses coming out of breeding. Like, it just would have been ridiculous. So I think they had to reevaluate the whole algorithm, not just the glitch.
I didn't even know that. So they basically nerfed breeding since then.
I think
it was a long.
Well, it was the horses coming out like as elites, like way down the line, that were just getting this like crazy abilities, and that wouldn't have been sustainable, I think, for the game if there was too many good horses down to that level.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Wow. And so I got to ask both of you, do either one of you, or who do you look up to in the Zed community?
You can go first, Doug.
Probably the wrong person to ask. I don't really look up to anyone. Not trying to be mean or anything. I don't know. I approach this game differently. Like, I don't really like shout out to everyone that does the stats and everything, but like I don't really like follow. I don't know. I do my own work first, and then if my work isn't working, then I try something new. So like, I don't really look up to people, but I appreciate a lot of the work that gets done. MJ with your speed stats, like Know Your Horses, all their stuff. Hawk, I mean, there's all these things out there that I use. So I guess technically, that's looking up. If I'm using your product or your tool, then I guess props to you. Like I don't know. Like, everyone does a good job. Everyone. I take something from everyone. So I guess everyone. I'll just keep it equal.
I like the independence of it, though. I like the first part of your answer. Like, you're doing your own thing, and that's respectable. Yeah. Like, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, it's just I approach things. I see a lot of people out there doing their thing. I sit back and cruise and just see what happens on the way.
I like
pick things up as I go.
Nothing wrong with that. And so, Roid Raider, the same question to you: who, if anybody, do you look up to in the community?
When I started, there was only like a few people making videos. 2 of them were Doofy and Poseidon, and I thought they were part of some of the OGs, and their information was like really valuable, I felt. And then when I found the first person who really like made a business out of racing, I feel, was Catch Me Riding Derby. He got these horses, these U-shaped horses like Main Event and Moonlight Graham, and really like turned them into like just profit machines. And I don't believe anyone had done that before. So he like dominated racing for a long period until arbitrage came along, and then brought new ideas like sandbagging, for better or worse, and that really changed the game. And then people realized they could control the horses a bit more. It wasn't just throw them in races and hope for the best. You really had to figure out their what distance they were best at and what distance they could go down to stay in lower classes, which obviously has caused some problems. Like people don't like all the good horses down low classes, but without that, the game loses a lot of skill element. And well, he was definitely an inspiration for like sort of realizing like I could be a racing stable as well. Like I could understand these horses and I could pick them, and it is worth paying the money they were paying for these horses because they were getting the profits out of them. Mm-hmm. So yeah, definitely all of those people.
That's good.
What does success in Zed Run look like for you guys? How do you win? How are you? Is there an end game? Is there an out? Or are there like kind of milestones you like to reach along the way? What does that look like for you guys?
Do you want to go first? I'll take this one.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
I don't think there's an end game. I don't look at it like that. I think it's just a process, and like I think winning lots of profit isn't necessarily success. Like it's definitely good, but you spend a lot of money buying these horses to get that profit, or you have to breed a lot of times before you find the one that starts making money. So I think the game's still growing, and I think success will come when the game is successful. So I think that should be the priority rather than individual success. I think we should all, as a community, look for creating success for the entire game. I think that should be the goal.
I like that.
Good way.
Yeah. For me, the game hasn't started yet. In my opinion, the way I look at it, like a lot of these things, we're not gonna know how this game's fully functional for another couple of years, in my opinion. Like until we get enough data built up on certain horses and we actually have a functioning it's not a jab, like a functioning platform where like the race classes are fixed and breeding isn't what it is now, active tournaments going on and like the ecosystem's actually running. Whereas right now I feel like we're in a stalemate because there's nothing to do with like all these horses that can't run in these juice paid races. Every paid race right now is just loaded. So it's hard for people they took free races away. That was an out for people with smaller stables who couldn't, compete against these, $5 races or even $2 races, because now those $2 races are just filled with killers.
Mm-hmm.
But they took the free races away for people to do that. Now it's stale. And when the game gets stale, people tend to move away from it because no one likes stale. But, I understand this game. And there's a lot of other people out there that are on the same level. A lot of people are invested, so they're here because they're invested. I'm here because I genuinely enjoy this game. Again, horse racing, so like I'm already in, but like I enjoy the aspect of breeding because I love trying to figure out the puzzles. I love experimenting. I love trying to figure this out. But we're not going to have a fully functioning breeding game until breeding is fixed and we have, data on certain horses to prove that they're worth, the breed fee, or prove that it's worth spending this much on an offspring. Like you can just go buy an offspring for $50 right now. Like, cool. Like people are just taking massive losses on breeding just to like get out of it or just get something back. So like I'm playing, and I've preached this, I'm playing for the future. So like to me, the important thing right now is building relationships with people, and whether that's making deals on the side for breeding or only doing certain breeds with people to maintain the bloodline between, a triangle of stables or, a small group of people. I think that that's that's where you start. If you're here to play the game for the future, that's where you start. You gotta build relationships with people. Like, this game's gonna be built off it. In real life, horse racing, relationships are key. If I ran out of feed for the week, my feed delivery's not coming for 2 days. Well, 3 barns down is my good friend Joe, so I can go down there and borrow 10 bags of feed until Tuesday. Like, shit, I don't have like breeding money right now. Let me see if X, Y, and Z will spot me a breed until I can get back to them. Oh, we're tight. I got you. Like, that's to me where I'm at right now. It's networking, building relationships, and playing for the future. So
Love it.
Agreed.
that's me.
Agreed. I agree with you on the one point where I don't think the game is completely fleshed out, and we won't know it until at least everything that they want to put in is in, and some of the things like as you were saying, the breeding price gets fixed, or we get the class system that they already advertised, and the weather for weather.
Yeah, the track conditions as well. Where a steeplechase, if that's what's going to happen, or a turf, dirt, slop, wet, muddy, fast, firm, like all these different like conditions that matter in real life.
Mhm.
If they're going to implement them here, then we we don't know what the game is until we have the entire thing working at once. So we're not close. I mean, it seems like we're close but we're not close yet. We're still, to me, I've been saying we're still in batting practice, in my opinion. So like,
Yeah. It's a slow process. We're going sort of 3 steps forward, 2 steps back. And
yeah, I get it, but most people, the way they work is now. I want it now. Fix my problems now. Do everything now. Do this now. But like, if you see the game for what it is, like I get frustrated with certain things, and I'll let Zed know that I'm frustrated with these things. If they're watching, great. If they're not, all right, then at least the people understand that these things are happening. But like, all my complaints have been valid. So, I don't know what I don't know. Like, I feel like the community just doesn't get listened to unless like someone who's prominent reaches out and says, "Yo, listen," and then like we get their attention for like 5 or 6 days, and then, all right, we're back to normal. Yeah. So,
Well, some of it from a design standpoint, not to get sidetracked, but some of it from a design standpoint is they have a design document. I don't know how big their design document, but most game design documents are like 50 or 60 pages, some up to like 500, and so they're trying to implement the things that are in the design document. And because we're in early access, because I refuse to call this a beta, because we're in early access, they have to experiment. I think they should experiment way more than they actually do, and just let us fucking like curse them out and all that shit. But until they get everything exactly how they want it to get, or how whatever their vision is, I think personally they should experiment even more. Like, yeah, let's set the price here. Oh, stamina's too high. Oh, now it's too low, or until they find like that middle ground where there's not, because there's always going to be complaints, but not as many complaints as like there are. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like I said, there's going to be. I mean, I understand. I personally, like I said, I understand this game, and I understand there's going to be growing pains. I also understand that the game's been around for 3 years now, so a little sense of urgency wouldn't hurt, like I said, they're very good at throwing these flashy things out there, these flashy partnerships, but you can't fool me. I know what's going on here. Like, I know what distractions are. Just tell me what's going on. Like, give us updates on the game. That's it. That's all I ask. Like, all these other projects, I'm getting bi-weekly updates. What's going on and what's happening with things?
Mm-hmm.
Just give me an update. That's it.
Yeah.
They they're supposed to have these AMAs happening, and that's been silent for how long now? So what are we doing?
Yeah, I felt like that went silent real quick. I was just thinking about that the other day. It's like, where have those been? I was so excited when that first came out.
If I go missing, y'all know what happened. So
was it bi-weekly? Was that?
No, that's not what they said. But like, that's what I would like to see. That's what I see from other projects, NFT projects that are going on. Like, there's constantly information and clarity and everything's out there. So I'm not going to tell them how to run their company.
They need to improve that a little bit.
We got a question from chat from Jay Moish. what do you predict that arbitrage are using to get the edge? Assuming it's the usual, as far as usual ones being tools, but what potential edge they may have. Wait, sorry, I'm butchering this.
I
What
got it.
tools do you? Okay, you got it. Yeah. What tools do you predict that arbitrage are using to get the edge? Assuming it's all the usual ones, but what's the potential edge they may have utilized? It's just not Stack Knox they're using. In my opinion, they're just using their own custom stuff. They've got their own sheets.
I don't know if it's. I think they're definitely using some of their own stuff, but I don't think what they're doing is anything the average player can't do.
Mm-hmm.
The advantage they have now is they have the best horses, so they can see how other horses race against their horses, who they know are the best, and they see a horse pulls flames against them and beats them. They know they put that on their watch list, and I assume they do this. I don't know for sure, but then they will watch that horse, and then they'll slowly start to develop an opinion of that, and they can value that horse quicker than anyone else. And I don't know how they are able to buy horses, because if someone came to me, if I was a small stable and said, or arbitrage came to me and said, "Hey, I want to buy your horse," wouldn't you immediately know that horse is worth keeping and like you've got something really special? But
Yeah,
they
so-
seem to keep buying them, so someone's selling them.
Well,
Not really. Not really. Sorry. Go ahead. Your show.
Well, I was gonna say, well, what it is, you got to think about how fast you can get your return on investment. Like me, right? If arbitrage offers me 15 ETH for a horse, I'm selling the horse, and I'll let the community, or I'll let somebody else. I'll be like, he just offered me 15 ETH. Anybody want to offer something better? Because 15 ETH, how long will it take you to earn that back racing? And so that's he's got a real long term view of the game, and that's why he offers like exorbitant prices that other people aren't necessarily willing to offer, because he's going to know he's going to make it back on the back end. Or they, excuse me. I always think of Keith when I think of arbitrage, and so
I don't.
Doughboy, you also had something.
Oh, you got Doughboy.
To me, so like with them like showing up to a smaller stable and saying, "Hey, I'm interested in your horse." To me, if I was a small stable, it comes down to, am I going to run this horse to its full potential? And if the answer is no, I'm selling the horse. Like, am I able, if they see something, then clearly they see that this horse can run in, $25 races, $15 races. Is the small stable financially, like, do they have that bankroll for that? Can they afford, like, if they have an $80 bankroll and that's what they're playing with, if you finish off the board in a $25 race, that's a third of your bankroll. Like, and you have like 8 other horses you want to run. So like, what makes sense? Can I financially support this horse in turning it into a profitable and winning horse? And if I can't, maybe it's best to sell it, because then with that money, a smaller stable can just do so much more. They can just open the gate, get certain breeds they want to get in. And you know what? If they own the parents of that horse, that's even better, because they get to try it again. So like, that's where I'm at. So I personally want to get to the point where I have my breeders set out that I can go to these stables and say, listen, I have a proven breeder. Here's her offspring. Here's what they do. Are you interested? And at that point, like, we're not there yet. With certain horses, you can see it, but like, we're going to be there in a year or two. Like, we're going to have, unbraced horses going for more than what they should, because the parents are proven breeders and they give you a proven runner. But I feel like that's where the line is. Like, if someone comes to a smaller stable, I feel like that's the move. Because right now, listen, arbitrage, you're out there watching. Unexpected Birth has a price tag if you want to come get him. Flames in $15 races, wins $10. You don't need flames either. I've proven it. I've beaten Marajo a couple times.
Flames are the
You're
worst.
watching. I'm listening. But if someone comes to me about one of my horses and you come with a reasonable offer and like not trying to be a scumbag about it, then I'll sit down and talk. Everything has a number in life. Everything has a price. Anyone that says nothing has a price, all right.
They didn't watch Ted DiBiase growing up, so they don't know.
Yeah, the $1 Million Man has taught me a lot in my life. Everything has a price. Everything can go at any time. Everything's replaceable for the most part. Material things are just material things. So, it's just important that newer stables understand that the difference between getting taken advantage of or whether they can actually follow through with something they have.
Yeah.
For me anyway. But yeah, I think that's I mean I don't know. That I think with figuring out if you have like a racer or not, it's starting to get easier because I thanked arbitrage because I had a grasp on it, but when we had them on PonyPlug and I got to see it, everything clicked in my head. I knew I was doing it the right way, but seeing them do it, just all right, I knew I was doing it now, just full throttle. So UB was one of those horses, has that natural up button and then has that natural down button at 2400, lasts all the time. Sprints, he's going up. Distance, he's coming down. So they're out there and they're easy to find. And to me, I think the easiest way to figure it out is you run 1,000 and 1,200. If you're first or last, if you win, you can just assume that maybe that's your up button. If you run 2,400 and you end up running last or winning, you just use flip flop because most of the time those are the horses that have the up and downs. You're sprinters or you're a marathoner, and marathon will take you up, sprint will take you down. So that's one of the easier ways to figure out what you have, and you can do that with the Griffies. You can just try and like hawk the Griffies and see if you can get a distance one right off the bat. And they say they can figure out what they have in less than 5 races. Okay, that's not. I don't think you can, but if they got it, then they got it. They know what they're doing. I'm not gonna sit here and bash their work. Obviously, I've seen what they can do, and I've trailed a couple of their horses and watched. So, I like what they're doing.
Yeah, no, they're doing an amazing job. I think the key for a small stable is there's not many stables that are willing to pay the big amounts for the good races at the moment. I know for the last couple buys that I've bought, it's just been me and arbitrage fighting over deals. So like, it doesn't make sense for us to outbid each other all the time. So like, I haven't said like, you can get the next one, I'll get this one, like with wavelength, and because we both were after that. And so then he was after his other horse, and I'm like, I've got no money left, it's all yours. So there needs to be more stables after races, I think. Like if it's just arbitrage and myself and like maybe 1 or 2 others, like it means the price is a pretty good time to buy these really good races if you believe in it. Yeah,
there's so many, and I'll keep preaching it, and there's so many deals out there right now. You just have to if you just take an hour of your day and say, I have this as a budget, and sit down and like look at Haku and look at everything that's listed. There's so many horses out there that are just like unreasonably undervalued and priced so low that could easily make a starter stable like flourish. I've had some late night Discord or late night StreamYard sessions with Stanley, and we found quite a few, and he's bought some. Boss Logic being one of them. That horse is great. And then there's a couple other ones that we found, and they didn't see it because maybe they don't look at what we look at, and they don't look at the speeds and all this stuff. But a couple of the horses that we bought, just by looking at the stats and everything, we figured out they were up and down horses as well. And the price that was paid for the price that you pay for a U horse off the market it's way too cheap. Like, but you have to do the work. That's the one thing. If you don't want to do the work, then
have the bankroll too.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but even if someone's like, I have 0.5 to build a small stable and have some racing money, you could easily find 3 or 4 horses.
Oh, hell yeah.
Still have a nice starting roll for like $5 races if you get there. So
yeah, for sure.
It's possible, but you have to do the work.
You could even play the lotto right now because you can possibly get 2 Z2 Nakamotos for 0.5. This market is great.
It's wonderful right now for people that are trying to build out stables and get their bloodlines that they want to get. And that's one of the things I've seen is people are like, oh, now I can get my Nakamoto because it's kind of reasonable. But the problem is when you go to try and breed the build out, it's unreasonable. So
unless you get a female, because then you can breed her into a Buterin or a Finny or a Zabo.
And some people, I've done that. Like I took my Zabo, exclusive mare, and I put her with a Genesis, and it was fine. But if I have a knock, I want to put it with a knock. That's the problem. Like I want to be able to produce Nakamotos for my stable, but I understand budget.
Yes.
Yeah. I understand budgeting 101. Bankroll management. This is gambling, and people seem to forget that this is a gambling platform. Like, this game is not. You're dealing with money, so you have to have some sort of discipline with it. Bankroll management, number one.
It's a very key point that it's a gambling game, and we're sort of all acting like it's a play to earn game, but we can't all win.
Yeah.
Like, the money has to come from somewhere, unless they change the whole structure and remove the rake and bring in like a DES token or something, a possibility where we can all make money, but there's going to be winners and losers, and so we can't all win. And everyone is
not exactly it's gambling, but it's not 100% by the legal definition of gambling as gambling, because there's no side betting and stuff like that. Like, you can't increase your bet. You're just putting in money and then possibly getting like a small return on investment. But yes, it is gambling. I believe it's gambling too, but I got a meeting with some people tomorrow, and I got to explain to them how it's not gambling. So
you have fun with that. This is gambling.
It's still a game of skill, but often gambling games do involve skill, like poker, betting on real horses. That's a game of skill.
I mean, targeting your proper distance is a skill too. So yeah, I mean, I view it as that. Anything I have to put money up to get money in return is gambling in my book. But yes, I hope your conversation with these people goes well tomorrow, and I hope you can convince them, because hopefully it benefits you if you can convince them.
Well, it'll benefit the community. It'll be big.
Even better. Convince away.
We got a little sidetracked here.
That's my fault. That'll happen sometimes.
It's all good. You're like known and loved in the community for telling it like it is.
It's my style.
You know, that's a great thing. That's a great quality to have in general. And so I'm gonna shoot this question down to Roid Rager Racing. One person asked this question earlier in chat, and it's going back to the Roid Rager thing. I know you probably get questions about it all the time, but
all the time.
Was the horse benched by Zed, and did they offer you any type of compensation for benching the horse?
So after its 11th win in Class 1, I was contacted and asked, could I stop racing the horse while they sort of figured out what's going on. And then I said, yeah, that's fine. Like, I'm not going to keep racing it if you ask me not to. They didn't tell me not to, or they didn't take it off me or anything. But then I found out like the next morning that through the announcement that these horses have been fixed and breeding is shut forever now. And that's how I found out. And they just asked me, and I didn't, like, I was happy just to follow their lead.
Okay. You're a better man than me, because I'd be like, hell no! Like, what? I'd throw the next $500 race or something.
Well, I don't know. Cause more problems. Like, they could have then done worse things, like remove the horse from the game or something like that.
They could have, that's one thing. They could have banned the horse, but then that's history. You have a piece of history. If they just ban the horse, but you get to keep the horse and you can still transfer it around, I'd accept that. Because you have the first and only banned horse in the game. That's big. That's a collector's
that's how
item.
I kind of feel about him now. Like, I don't want to race him, but I still value him a lot. Yeah,
he's 11 wins. I would never, to answer your question, I would never run that horse ever again. That horse would stay at 11 in a row, and it's a piece of Zed Run history.
Even in a match race though against Escobar,
I thought about it. Like I after y'all talked about it for a little bit, and I looked it over and I thought about it. I was like, no, can't do it. 11. I don't care if it was a breeding mistake or not. It's going to be hard for another horse to get 11 wins in a row, especially as the game progresses and gets.
I think a horse just did it recently.
What was that, Roid Raider?
A horse just got 11 wins in a row. I think.
Did they?
Early. Yeah, in free races during the tournament.
Doesn't count.
See, that's different, and it's not the first 11, which is like
it's
even more monumental.
I think Dan Shan's horse, Beautiful Fire, did it go its first 8? But they were free races as well.
Yeah, I don't count free.
I knew he was going to say that.
I don't count free.
Oh
Like
man.
it's that's one thing I've always been a thing separate. Even when I was looking through like breeding barn before, like I would always look at every stud and separate it from free and paid, because if you can't win paid races and you haven't produced yet, like I don't want to take a chance like with that kind of lottery ticket. I want to see something,
Right.
you know. But yeah, I understand free races, and I know they have a place in this game, and we know why that, you know, for what now. And they can stay for that. If you're looking to buy a tournament horse, free race it up. You know, use the stat line, because that's what they're going to be. They're going to be free races. So keep that in mind if you're going to buy, like, you know, if you want a small cheap tournament horse. Like, but if I'm playing the game for keeps, I want paid races on my horses.
100%.
Uh,
Go ahead, Golden.
okay, I was gonna say, you do throw Roid Rager into the breed barn pretty often, though.
Well, what else am I going to do with him? Like,
Well, he's producing pretty good horses, though. Like,
I didn't even realize that one of his offspring won the quarterfinal in the tournament, and
oh wow.
it looked pretty good. I think Roman God, I think is his
Okay.
name.
Yes.
I didn't even know. So yeah, he's got some good genes, and he's definitely very popular in the breed barn. I initially put him in there just sort of as a joke at 1 Ethereum. I'm thinking like, yeah, no one's going to breed with that. And then the 3 covers were taken like in 5 minutes. So
Wow.
I couldn't believe it when I saw that. I said, "Who the fuck in their right mind? Pardon my language. Who in their right mind is going to breed with this horse for an ETH?" But again, it's a piece of history. So
Yeah.
yeah,
they paid 1 ETH, and now they have an offspring from a piece of history.
I hate people that breed with him that don't understand the history and think they're going to get like the best racer ever. So yeah, but some people did breed with him for the collector value, and yeah. So I want like the more people that know about him, and I don't want to like trick people or anything. Like, he's what he is. Yeah, he's not the record. You can't trust the racing record for his breeding ability, but he is a good breeder, and there is that sort of collector's element to it. That I put him in for a bit lower these days. I turned down a 10 Ethereum offer for him when he was racing, so trying to slowly make it back.
And that was made by Zombie, if I'm not mistaken, because he was streaming earlier.
He was one of the people, yeah. I think, yeah, there was a lot of people that said name your price.
Yes, that's exactly what Zombie said earlier when he was streaming. He said that the messages between you and him are very interesting, because he said to you directly, name your price.
Yeah, but I would have regretted selling him, I think, because I would have like felt bad. I probably would have had to take it back and reverse the sale or something. Like I couldn't have just remained in the community after like making so much money off a glitch. So yeah, I don't have any regrets.
Yes. Where did the name Roid Rager come from?
It's just from the mum, whose name is Buffed. I just thought Roid Rager, just like, yeah.
I like it.
And didn't anticipate it would catch on and be this famous. But
It'd be iconic.
Yeah. Now I try to put a few, like the word rage in a few horses, like the way Dan Chan puts fire in. I think it's good to have a bit of a brand. But I try to save them for the ones I think are a bit better.
Yes.
So Zed just recently announced skins are coming in December, and kind of the first utility of the Zed Pass. What do you guys think about first of all, any thoughts on that in the skins? And are you excited about that? Are you not excited about that? Do you have a Zed Pass? And then next question is kind of feeding into that, like, what do you want the future of Zed to look like? What would be like the next, if you could have the power to change, 1 or 2 things right now today, what are you changing? And how do you propose that change happens?
Start with Roid Rager. Sorry.
That's okay.
No, it's best.
I had no interest in the NASCAR pass, but I actually won one of them in that like 100 giveaway. I don't even remember going in a race. Like I don't watch my races very often, so I happened to go into a NASCAR race. Well, I was just waiting. I want to see what the skin is now. Like I'm keen to see what it is. But skins don't interest me too much. Like I can't make any money off a skin, like except for selling it, I guess, but they don't make my horse run faster. So I'm interested to see what it is, and there definitely seems to be a lot of people interested in the skin, which is a good thing. It's got a lot of people excited, and I think that's always good. But to me, they're not like too valuable. But yeah,
Could have a rare one.
yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like if it's super
Yeah.
rare, that might be pretty cool. And I can put it on any horse I want. Is that?
Yeah, swap them, detach them.
Yeah, if you get a Dale Earnhardt one, don't sell it.
Okay,
If
that's
they
a good
make one like that, I don't know if they're familiar with NASCAR.
I'm not at all, so I have to check what I get for sure.
And the changes, if there's any changes or anything you would like to see.
I think bringing back some free races for the smaller stables and for new horses. I think I hear from a lot of smaller stables that like they don't want to put up money for these paid races at the moment. They're just going to lose it, and that's not a good experience for people coming into the game to just lose all the money quickly. Like they're not going to hang around. So I think if there's some sort of class below class 5 or for like after your Griffin, you can go in, race like 10 races in free races and understand your horse. And then you can work out like, I think this is pretty good. Now I want to go to paid races. And I think that would encourage people to race paid races more. And yeah, I think that is probably the thing that's going to make the game more successful for new players right now.
Agreed.
I like it. I like it. Doughboy, deep in thought. Thoughts on the
So
skins?
I still don't know what the Zed Pass gets me or does. So I have zero interest in it. That's just
Okay. The
Well, get your skin.
yeah,
You're gonna get airdropped a skin,
What's the skin?
a NASCAR skin.
a NASCAR skin.
I'm not. Yeah, I'm. What's the skin do?
Well, you can send it to me if you don't want it. I'll
That's
send it.
what I mean. Like, it'll, if I get one of these things, the only thing it's gonna do is gonna fund my stable because what exactly like is this like Call of Duty where everyone tried to rank up their shotgun to get gold? Like,
Yeah, exactly.
that wasn't me. I wasn't one of those people. So like, I have no. It just seems like a flashy material, like show off kind of thing. I don't know. I want to play the game. I don't want to deal with accessories. Like unless like it's an accessory that enhances my chances on the racetrack, you know.
Yeah.
But which I talked about before, like if I doubt it'll get there, like if they implement like real life, things like if their horse is very distracted during a race, and if that's part of the they say watch your horse's head run, you can see you can tell from the movements and this and that. I hear a bunch of that going around, but like if in real life, if your horse has trouble focusing, they put the blinkers on it so you just see straight ahead. So if my digital horse's head movement isn't straight, I want my horse's head to straighten. If there's an accessory that helps, then cool. But a skin to me is just something that to show off, which I'm not much. I show off with very few things, and playing video games and playing games in general. It's like I said, I wasn't one of the skin collectors in Call of Duty, so to me this seems kind of like same, slightly different.
It's like putting rims on your car, bro. That's how I look at it.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that. I mean, I would. Trust me, if I was financially stable, I would have some nice rims on a car if I had a car. I just don't use a car. I got public transportation. I got the train right here. It takes me to work every day. So, but yeah, I'm not. I don't know. To me, it just seems like a thing that wouldn't benefit me in the game, and I don't really have interest in stuff like that. So it sounds like I come off like a curmudgeon with some of these answers that I give. It's just if they don't interest me, I got they just don't interest me. They don't interest me. But I know some people out there that were like bidding on the Preakness skins and stuff. But you got a Genesis horse when you did that. So like I understand bidding on those things, but
yeah.
I don't know what a skin does for me. If it's just for a show-off thing, then that just doesn't interest me.
I think it's to do some type of rarity, like because they said they did do rarities with because we're in the NFT space as well. So
yeah, for sure.
Like maybe a bridge to the PFP projects and stuff.
Yeah, I mean the Zed Pass thing. Just when they announced it to me again, it was just one of those. Here's this flashy thing, but we're not going to tell you what it is. because
Yeah.
everyone's going to be in awe of this new flashy toy, but nobody wants to ask the questions like, all right, what is it? Why am I giving you this much money for something that I don't know what it does? Like, more information, more clarity, more transparency. That's all I want from, the things that I invest money and time into is just some transparency. What am I getting?
Yeah.
But,
Well, they could they if this is go back to like my video game developer background. Warframe. I don't know if any of you guys have ever heard of it, but they have like a set of tools where people can download and they can make skins for the game, and other people buy those skins. And there's some people in like third world countries that are pretty good artists,
yeah.
and they're making a ton of money just by making skins. So if they open up that aspect of it, so that like say you make a skin and then Zed takes like 2.5% or something like that, and you take the majority of it, like what's that?
I think
97.5% off of skin sales or something, and that'd be cool too.
I think if they did something where, like artists could design NFT skins like this,
Mm-hmm.
and there was some sort of like small like partnership thing with Zed,
Mm-hmm.
where, they just didn't get all the funds from, some artists that just did the work, there's an equal split or something.
Mm-hmm.
And they're able to me, that's basically that's a piece of advertisement for them,
Yeah.
You see my dope skin. Like, there's tons of artists out there. Like, if I get some dope skins from them, all right, maybe you got me. Maybe you'll get me. But as of right now, I have zero interest in what I've seen from the skin, from what skins are out there. Like,
Yeah.
the Atari ones are cool and all. I understand. Like, there might be big Atari fans out there. Like, that I understand. People, yeah, exactly. I understand people going after those things. That's sentimental to them.
Mm-hmm.
But again, to me, it's not to me. To each their own. And at the end of the day,
Unless they come with a Doughboy skin.
I'll tell you right now, I gotta get working on it. I've been in this space so long, and I still don't even have a proper. What the hell am I thinking
Logo?
of? Yeah, I don't have a proper logo. Yeah. And I'm in PonyPlug with Stanley, so like, I've told him, I was like, yeah, I just don't ask you because I just assume you're busy with stuff, and it's never on the top of my head to do it anyway. So I gotta get down with him and work on something.
There you
Give
go.
the artists a percent of the like sell-on fee. So if you become a known artist or someone that's really popular, people want your skins. You only make 10 of them.
Yeah.
People are trading them. Give extra money back to the original artist. Like, I think that'd be huge.
Yeah, I think it would. It just opens up like small partnerships essentially, and like small advertisements. Like, you're helping smaller things with your larger platform, but that's up to them to decide how that works. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, I think as far as that, as far as the skins and the Zed Pass goes, that's where I sit on those. As far as stuff that could be fixed, I think race classes need to be fixed, and I think they should bring back free races for the smaller stables. I think there's a dozen different ways they could fix the class structure, and I wish I had someone inside Zed that I could just sit down and be like, listen, I'll give you an hour of my time, and I'll just lay out what I have, and if you like it, awesome. If you don't, all right, then you don't. Like, you just gave me an hour of your time, and you may have learned something from what I said, or maybe you like something, but I feel like there's ways they could fix this class systems for each class without like destroying it and like revamping it, but when they want the community's help, they know where to come to. Like, we have all these content creators out there. When they want the help from the community, they know exactly where to go. It's on them. Ball's in their court,
Yeah.
It's not like the community's been reluctant to say anything. You know what I mean? All we want is for them to listen to us. Like,
well, it's going back. I hate to keep throwing the video game developer hat into the thing, but
it's relevant. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's not. It's relevant.
The communities tend to destroy games if the game developers listen to the communities all the time.
Sure.
And so whatever their white paper was, they really have to try to stick to it, but they also have to. That's why I said earlier I was in favor of them experimenting to just try to get everything right more often than they do. You know what I'm saying? I think people would be like, okay, all right, stamina was 10 last week, it's 5 this week. It's 7 next week. They're just trying to get the happy medium and to keep the monsters out of class 5 until they figure out whatever the fuck they're going to do with an ELO or, like MJ said, a glyco system, or NFT Insights said a glyco system would be even better for ranking your horses and moving them up and down a class. And I personally think 10 classes, I've been saying that for months, would probably be more suitable because, like, I have a horse that no other horse will place 12th behind that horse. And so that horse doesn't really have a place on the platform. And there's other people who probably have horses as well. Like Arbitrage could put it in 2,400 or what's it, 1,000 with Princess of Power, and he's getting 11th. It don't matter. He's getting 11th.
I got one of those too. It's great.
Yeah.
But,
And so to me, I think there has to be a place for not horses that bad, like that particular horse I'm talking about, but horses that are a little bit better than that. There has to be a place for them to run against, to be protected against the bullies. Because at this point in time, the reason people aren't racing at this moment, more stables aren't racing, because there's still a lot of stables racing, but the vast majority of stables that are on the platform aren't racing because they're getting bullied. And there has to be a place where they can go and race, like just as there is in the real world. Like, I'm not racing in Churchill Down. I'll go race at Mohegan Sun, and I know I'm not going to run into a monster over there.
Yeah, I used to do that all the time. I couldn't. My horse couldn't compete where I was at, so I'd go 2 hours down the road to Delaware and run where I could use, special different equipment than I could in Pennsylvania, and have an advantage in those races. Like that, it's real.
Yeah,
like I said, I feel like they could fix it very easily by either doing points races or horses that haven't won more than 5 races. So 4 or less, they all have to run together. You can't run with horses that have 10 wins, or they don't have more than 15 wins. Like, you can't. So, like, the killers stay out of those ends. It's essentially a restricted racing, but that's how you protect the smaller stables, in my opinion. So, the ideas are there. There's ways to do it. They just, I don't think it's in my opinion, it doesn't seem like a strenuous process, but it's, it's a lot of, R&D and sitting down and talking about it. That's the first step. So, they'll figure it out.
The other part is the reason I said with experimenting as far as with the class system is because you can, I think I've heard maybe 60 ideas on how to fix the classes. I think all of us here have heard about 60 ideas, and we could probably spit out 3 right now if you ask us to, different ideas.
Yeah.
And so the reason I personally am in favor of them experimenting more is to just get it right. Like, they could they could do seasons every 20 days or so just till they get the class right. Hey, we're going to run it this way for the next 20 days. We're going to run it. If we run it and people are racing and stuff like that, then cool. And to answer MJ's question for myself, one thing I personally would like to see, if they don't bring back free races with a prize pool, I would like to see free races come back, but you don't gain or lose class points.
Yeah.
More or less like a practice mode. I think Keith from Crimson Racing was saying something about a practice. Well, he wasn't saying something. He did say something about a practice mode. And I think some of us would just want to race a horse, not stakes at all, just to race, bragging rights, basically.
Yeah, I think that will come with custom racing. But I think the other thing too is, we all 3 of us, maybe I'm sure MJ could point it out too, is no one's racing right now because, again, it's just donations.
Mm-hmm.
We were at this point 3 months ago where it was impossible to race because every race was killers, and nobody wanted to race free races because the highest prize pool was $6.
Yeah.
Right.
When they brought paid races back or free races back and $15 was the minimum prize pool, that was great.
The
only problem was trying to get in before the bots got in. But if they figure that out, then it's a different story. But I think having free races in the ecosystem is needed. You know what I mean? You're already taxing us. You're taxing us on breeding like crazy. You're taxing us on actual race entry.
And selling horses.
Give them back. And you're taking a tax on horses that get sold. So, you know what I mean? Give it back. Rule number 1. Everyone's trying to get rule number 1 real quick. So, give it back.
I think they are taking too much out. And the game is in a growth period now. So, it's going to be more successful for them if they give back like the rake and things like that through free races, because that's going to grow the game, and eventually that's going to be so much more profitable for them in the long term.
They're taking,
Accessibility.
yeah,
Yeah.
they're taking out, and then they're saying, look at all these awesome partnerships and money we're getting in. So like, we know you have it. Give it back. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah. Go ahead, Word Raider. Just looked like you were getting ready to say something.
I might have been. I forget now.
Do it all the time.
With the class system, there's so many different ideas, and there's so many good points a lot of people make, but it is such a tricky balance, because you do have to give something to the weaker horses and the weaker stables, because they're the people that are like new to the game and want to get involved and want some return for their investment. But I think it can't be at the expense of the best horses. And I might have a biased view there because I've got some pretty good ones.
Yes.
But having the horses everyone aspires to have is really going to get people breeding, because people want to breed that horse. They don't want to, like at the moment, the best you can hope for still isn't going to be profitable. You could breed like an amazing high variance horse, but then you can only go in like $5-10 races, and like you're not going to make much money that way. So I think tournaments are good, like, but a different structure of tournaments that rewards bred horses more, because no one can go out and buy a Genesis Nakamoto, or like not many people can. So if they've got to incentivize the best horses, because then if you do get one, it will be worth a lot, and you can make a lot of money that way, and race them and win tournaments. And I think it's a tough balance.
If you look at the tournament and look at the cutoff, and then look at the top 25 horses, how many of them went past Z3? You know what I mean? That tournament to me, and I pointed out, that tournament to me was a Z1 paradise, because anyone who had a Z1 was basically auto queued, like for the most part.
I had bad Z1s qualified,
and that's like that. Like, that sucks, because that's not what you want to hear when you're spending that money on a Z1. But to me, for this tournament structure, the Z1s through Z4s for the most part just had an advantage, because that's what we're told. Like, when you come into this game, the higher Z numbers are supposed to be the better horses. There weren't that many like lows, or when I say low, there weren't that many Z numbers past like 15. I think one bred horse made it to the finals of the whole thing.
Yeah. There was a pacer that qualified. Like, I think that's amazing.
I wonder if Stanley knows that.
Yeah, you should track down that.
Look that one up.
I was looking through the data and like, how did this pacer qualify? I think in mid-distance or something. Just went on a great run.
Yeah.
But I think it makes sense that the first tournament should reward the best Genesis horses.
Yeah.
But I think going forward, they need to give more to...
They have all the data in the world. They have 2 weeks worth of data they can look at and figure out what they need to fix. Like, that to me, this first tournament was the experiment that they needed, and it was successful. There weren't any days where racing wasn't working, which is absolutely crazy, because I swear to God, we went on a 7-week stretch where every week when we were streaming, we weren't able to race horses, like, because racing was just bugged or glitched. Something was wrong, or Polygon was bad. Something was wrong. So, like, now they have 2 weeks worth of data. They got a top, 100 to look at. They have a top 192 where they cut everything off at. I feel like they need to adjust like the qualifications. But again, they have all that information. They can figure it out. They can see how many bred horses made the cut line. They can see how many Genesis horses made the cut line. They have it. So I'm hoping they get it from here,
Blazer OG said he qualified with a D54 out to 202 in the end, though. But he did. He did qualify.
It's crazy because it stinks because it's in the middle of it. Like, because I wasn't running a lot of my horses because the maiden tournament fell during the middle of the Zed tournament, and I was holding bred horses for that. And a lot of the bred horses that I ran during Zombie tournament were borderline able to qualify for the Zed tournament. So like, now I'm hoping they fix it, because that to me as this is a breeding game. It seems like it's a racing game, but this is a breeding game, and seeing that to me makes me more confident in my breeds. and it makes me want to be able to breed more to see if I can qualify my bred horses. Because that, to me, again, breeding doesn't matter right now because not everybody understands it. All right. But in a year from now, a year and a half from now, breeding will matter. We will have a breeding leaderboard with the top breeders in the game. We'll have a board with a stallion that produces the most winners, mares that produce the most winners, all springs. You know, we'll have all that stuff available to us to see. Right now, we don't really have that. So, you know, gives me hope.
So this will lead into this next question. Obviously, Doughboy is a breed. He finds himself more as a breeder. So, Roid Rager, we know there's two or three ways to approach this game. Do you find yourself more of a racer or more of a breeder or somewhere in between? I will
Yeah,
read that question to Doughboy afterwards, so as well.
I definitely went in with the intention of being more of a breeder when breeding reopened, and yeah, I probably have been more successful with breeding just through like making offspring, and they were worth like so much more than the breeding price for a while. But then since that's gone away, there's not really. I was hopeful to also like understand breeding a bit more, and I think there's just a bit too much randomness in it now. There's especially with variance and distance preference not really passing on from parents. So there wasn't much control I had over that. So it felt like a bit too much of a gamble with like a negative expected value. So I've definitely have restructured and now want to focus much more on racing. Even though like racing's not amazing at the moment, I believe racing will always be there to make profits, and they've just got to like find the right system that works for everyone. Yet, like breeding, I want. Hopefully, they restructure the algorithm or whatever they're using to a bit more, so people can like predict things a little bit better. Like it can't be too predictable, but I'd love it if distance preference passed on from parents. Like Doughboy might be able to explain that in the real horse racing world, that's something that you look for when you breed. You breed like two
Breed for
sprinters
speed.
together.
That's
Yeah, yeah,
the motto in breeding in real life. Breed for speed. Everyone wants the fastest horses. That's what the game is.
yeah, yeah.
And sometimes that doesn't always work.
So yeah, you wouldn't breed like a mare that is a really long distance runner with a sprinter stallion. Like you'd breed together, and that's what I went in with the expectation for. But that yeah, it's just too random at the moment. But hopefully one day.
Yes.
See, I'm psycho. I did that. I bred my
Yeah,
distance mare who flames at 22, 24, and I bred her with my sprinter who flames at 1,000 and 1,200. And she's just like her dad, has a natural up and down switch. She loves running 22 and 24 and just runs dead last at 1,012. So, like, she took the mother's side of that and ignored the father's, but took the father's natural up and down switch, which, again, you know, none of that, it's all talk until it actually shows that it means something.
yeah. I want to see some evidence that there's some correlation
Yeah.
there.
And I've had that conversation. I mean, obviously, I'll let you finish. Like, I'll let you finish
There you
first.
go.
But like, you know, I'm a firm player of all aspects of this game. I like the racing, I like the breeding, I like the buying, I like the selling. I love it all. I love this game. I really do. I've got into a Stanley before, but I genuinely enjoy this game. Whether or not it's functioning right now to its fullest, it's just, to me, this game has everything that I want if I'm going to put time into something. Like, I genuinely enjoy horses. They're my favorite animal. Obviously, I come from a background of horse racing. Gambling is, again, one of those things that's been in my life for a long time. My great-grandfather had a speakeasy. My grandfather used to serve drinks to the card players and everything. Like, he taught me how to play poker. But, like, all this stuff is just here. And to me, I just have the most fun playing this game and talking about it, too. Because every aspect interests me. But breeding, I feel some people can catch on to it if they know what they're looking at. And to me, it's like the consistency thing. You have to look at. It's hard to get the data you need, because if you sell your offspring, you're then at that point you're relying on someone else to run that horse, to gather that data, to prove that what you have is worth the premium that you charge for offspring. So like if you have a mare who has 8 offspring and 4 of them are unraced, 3 of them are raced with 5 races, and 1 is 400 races in and 50 wins, just great. There's not consistent lines for me to see if that's going to happen every time. And I feel like that's one thing that people don't really look at when they look to breed. They either look for, some people like playing the color game. They'll breed super coats, or, they'll try for certain colors. To me, I'm competitive. I know what I have. So now I want to try and maximize that. And I want to try and get a breeder. I want to try and get a solid, offspring out of my breeder. As far as the distance preference thing, again, it's a coin flip whether people understand it or whether it passes down or not. I had a conversation with Bamontes about it, Bamonte Stables, because I said I was sandbagging my maidens. I didn't run any of my maidens in the test days. Like I didn't do any of the test races because I play for keeps. I don't want to win my Griffey for fun. I want to win it when it counts. So all of my entries I left unraced, and he's like, "Well, how are you so confident that you know where they're going to run?" And I just follow the trends. My mare produces sprinters. I can see that on all the offspring. So I sprint them. If they don't sprint, if they run last at 1200 2 times in a row, then I know I can switch that. All right, I'm going to run 22, 24. If they don't hit the board there, then all right, I got nothing. It's not going to work out. But I sprinted all my offspring, and it worked out to my advantage. I had one in the top 100 and one outside of top 120. Like 2 days were caved in, but I had fun with it. And I feel like the game is going to progress more with breeding as it goes. But the way to discover all that stuff is just you have to play the game. And unfortunately, we can't play the breeding game because the minimums are too high. Yes. So it's hard to get. It's hard right now to call it a breeding game, even though that's what it is. But I'm a firm player in all aspects of the game. I like racing, so like again, you can't trust other people to run your horses if you sell them. So I run all my horses. If I know they can't run, then I'll move on from them. But I can't trust someone else to do that for me. And that's the hardest part in the game right now when you're trying to gather this data and have this information to build out your stable, to produce certain types of horses that run here, or to actually know that you produce a solid horse. It's just hard to rely on other people at this point because, again, some people jump in, they get excited, and then we're at a stalemate where we are right now, and those people never touch their account again. So, it's tough for me. But I like playing all aspects of this game. I just think I genuinely just really enjoy this game.
Mm-hmm. All right. And so,
as much griping as I do about certain things, like, I'm here. I ain't going nowhere. That's what I told people. I ain't going nowhere. You're going to hear from me. But, I thoroughly enjoy playing this game.
And so, I'll start this one with you and then it'll simmer down to Roid Rager. So, on the racing side, what is your approach to race selection?
Once I figured out what my horses are, and that's the hard part, some people approach, so like, I know people that when they run their Griffey, if they pulled single digit odds, they would jump their horse right into a class 1 at the same distance to see if they can hold their own. To me, in real life, that's kind of the same thing you do. When you win your maiden race, you have to see what you have because you can't really tell off of a bunch of horses with no information. Same thing as real life. Like you could run when the 2-year-old season starts in real life, none of those horses have ran. And those races are like super sprints for the most part. They're like half-mile races or like, 5/8 of a mile. They're just super sprints. You can't really tell what you have. Like if you win that race, you get lucky, awesome. The next place to go from there is you go in a race with all horses that have won. So most of the time you're running against all horses that are basically one of ones. Mm-hmm. So you got to figure out where you're going. So in this game, you can do that. People did that in class 1. Oh, my horse ran 3rd. All right. Now that tells me that I have a horse that can compete against stronger fields. So maybe that's where you figure out you want to run a $10 race in class 5 where you're at right now. Some people look at the speeds. If the speeds are way above average, they'll put in a higher class race with horses that are, technically should be running faster races. But for me, it's just trial and error. Like, I like to run my horses a couple times at each distance, but I like to follow trends as well. So, like, again, if you're running a horse in sprints and 1-2-3, 1-2-3, and how like the U system works, like, I'll dabble 22, 24. If they run towards the back, all right, I know where I'm at. I'm not touching 14, 16, 18, 20. Like, I'm just not touching those distances. There's no reason for me to go there at all because I see the trend.
So
I see where the U works.
So do you go with speed or do you just go with performance? Or a
A
combination?
little both, honestly. Again, like, to me, like, to me, having fun in this is just discovering your horses as well. So I look at everything I can. I look at the horses it ran against, the Z numbers it ran against. I used to, way back when I first started, after I ran my races, I would sit there and time the races myself to see the fastest splits.
I did the same thing.
Because in real life, they do every quarter. So they'll do the quarter mile, half mile, 5 or 3/8 of a mile left. Like, they'll do all those time splits. So I know what's fast in real life and what's slow in real life. So I would use that comparison while I was, like, timing my horse's fractions, like the last half mile or the last quarter mile. Like, that's going deep, but I had fun doing it, and it helped me figure out some things. So yeah, there's different ways to figure it out, but following trends is big for me, as it should be, because that's the line of consistency for the most part, and that's one thing I'm big on is consistency. So.
All right. So down to Roid Rager. What is your approach to race selection?
Well, with a new horse, I think the first thing you want to do is figure out their distance preference. So racing them once at short distance, like 1,000 or 1,200. I always like to race them right at 1,600 because that is an interesting distance where if they don't pull a flame, that's a sign that it maybe is a middle finger horse from like the old days with odds. And then once at long distance. And the thing about flames is it actually got so much easier to figure out the horse's distance preference. With odds, it was a little bit grey. Like, some horses got good odds everywhere, and you didn't know which was the up or down distance. But with flames, it became very easy to tell if you've got a sprinter or a marathoner. So that's the first thing, to figure out the distance, and then it's a case of finding out the horse's ceiling. Like, I don't go straight up to class 1. Like, I understand, like, that's a great strategy to work out, like, what have you got, like, race it against the best horses.
Yeah.
But for me, I like to slowly increase the buy-ins and maybe go up in class slowly and work out, like, at what point don't they get flames or aren't they really performing anymore. And it isn't all about flames. Like, there's good horses that win and don't get flames, but you can sort of just work out the limit of a horse and then work out, do you have something that's worth racing? Do you have something you should sell? Do you have something you just maybe hold on for breeding? And then once you have something that's a really good racer, then it's all about, you should know, like, what the distance is, what the ceiling is. It's just about monitoring that and continuing to, like, get data from the horses they run against, like, what sort of fields is it pulling flames in? What sort of fields is it winning in? If it goes on a trend where it comes like 4th to 9th a lot, that's probably a sign you're doing something wrong, maybe. You want the horses that are coming, like, in the top 3 or the bottom 3. So you're just constantly monitoring things and to obviously try to avoid the good horses when putting a horse in a race. But it gets a bit tiresome, like, waiting till right at the end to see what the field strength is going to be. You can just sort of guess, like, based on what the buy-in is, what the class is, what sort of field you're going to get. Occasionally you get, like, a beast thrown in at the last minute, but it's not the end of the world. So just not thinking about it too much, but just constantly monitoring your horse and working out just if it stops being profitable, you got to make a decision like, do you want to keep racing or not? But as long as it's making money, there's not a whole lot you can do wrong. So just keep going.
Yeah, it essentially becomes managing at that point. Like,
Yeah,
I agree with you. Starting at like, and this one thing that Stanley does as well. He's like, I'm like, yo, you won that Griffey. There was some Z4s and a Z6 in there. I was like, throw that horse in like a $10 or $15 race and see what happens. He's like, nah, 250, and we work our way up. I was like, okay, I respect it. Like I said, there's a lot of different angles in how to approach and play this game, and you can't tell someone they're wrong because they play the game how they like.
Yeah.
You can't.
that's exactly
Everyone's
right.
just gonna play different. So I'm with you on the gradually. Like I wouldn't jump classes, but if I won a Griffey, I would run in a $10 or $15 race right out the gate just to see. I wouldn't jump the classes for it, but
And then you can always go
if,
back then and
yeah,
slowly.
if I hit fourth, if I hit third, fourth, or fifth in there, then I'll back down like a $5 race because maybe you can't run against $15 horses, but you can sure as hell compete against $5 horses, and that's still profitable. So, it's just it's a lot of this game is very deep. This game is very, very deep, and you just have to really pay attention to what you do and keep track of everything. And it's tough to keep track of everything.
It's fun though.
It is. Like I said, I thoroughly
Keeps
enjoy
it
it.
interesting though. Is that depth?
Yep, I thoroughly enjoy it, man. I really do.
And so, just a quick comment, because a lot of people actually have a misconception, and it's not so much. It's never the dollar amount for the races. It's actually the competition. The race algorithm itself works based off of the horses that are in the race. Like if Breathless Edge is in a $2.50 race, he's going to perform as if he was in a $500 race, no matter the comp. And it's going to be up to the competition that's in the race with him. And so I remember I speak to Souls Vanish, who's one of the brothers, the two fools in their Mola. And as they were bringing Mula Mula up, they were actively hunting horses, if you play video like a boss rush video game to see exactly how powerful their horse was. And it turns out he's like the strongest 2600 meter racer in the game, and he laid out exactly what horses he was going to hunt down. And so for me, if I ever got a horse that was strong, like my partner down there got a Gold War, or like you two have your strong horses. I'm on like my fourth bear, so the name slips me of your stables horses. But like you two have your strong horses, like hunting down the horses that have that distance preference, or that run in the same funnel. That's where you would determine like the ranking of the horse to know who to avoid, no matter the dollar amount. Or hey, I got the strongest horse. I don't even care who's in this race, or
that's a great feeling when you've got an amazing horse and you're trying to find out like what the limit is. So you know what the good horses are. And I've got a horse that I bought, a Zed Run, called Secret Strategy, and I'm very excited about it. And I know it's a sprinter. So what I've been doing is I've seen like Milk Bar Mania in a race. So I joined that and seeing like which one of us gets flames. And I saw Crimson Chin, join that. So that's all I've been doing now. I'm not worried about making money. I'm just want to find the best horses and seeing like at what point do I not get flames or am I not winning? And so far, like he's been doing really well against those horses. So I'm just like holding him now, putting him on ice till there's an opportunity for him. That it's a great feeling when you can like go against the best horses and challenge them. And that's really fun just to like trash talk on Twitter and things like that.
Yeah,
I love it. I love taking my what do I have? He's a Z38 Elite or whatever he is. I took him all the way to Class 1, which was great. That's one thing that I really like too. As a breeders, I get to see that. I took my horse straight to Class 1, and I was fighting Crimson Chin and Big. I was fighting those guys in the sprints up there, but unfortunately, my horse wasn't profitable up there. So you gotta bring him back down to where he belongs.
Yeah.
But I chin tapped him a couple times. So to me, I see that and it's like, yeah, I'll fight. I'll go back down to class 4 and fight the big dogs down there. Like, it's been fun. It's
Yeah.
nice
The good thing
to
about this game,
match up with Italian Mig and Marajo and Poodle and Moon, like those sprinters, and just go head to head in like $15 races and come out on top with no flames. Like, to me,
yeah. The good thing
Nice-
about the game is
nice
you can
Genesis
cause a big
horse.
upset like that.
I just
You
wish
can.
you guys would chill in class 3. Like,
too tough.
I just wish you guys would chill in class 3. Because I always said this. I always said if I get a beast horse, I will fucking make a bot and I'll push every single person out of class 4. Like, oh, he's in a race? Cool. You're not going to win it. Oh, he's in a race. Oh, they
tough in
get
class
pushed
3,
down
it
to
really
like
is.
class 5 or something.
Yeah, it's just too tough in class 3. It really is. It's killers in class 3 because it's the ones that belong in class 4 and class 5 but can't get back down. So they're forced to stay up there, and they're like the average horses that are like 2 through 5 in the finish, and then there's the horses that teeter between class 3 and class 2. It's just really tough up there. My bred horses from the maiden, they all went straight to class 3, and I can't get 2 of them out, which to me is tilting because now they're just gonna stay there. Like, I'm not gonna be able to have fun with them because they don't have a switch. They just have that. They have that graph where it starts in the front and slopes backwards. And I'm like, well, I guess we'll wait for free races to come back and try and race there because there's no way I'm putting them in paid races in those
Yeah, my best horse is stuck in class 2. It looks like a donkey now because I tried to get her to fuck out.
It's tough, and like people. I understand there's views on the classing up, classing down, sandbag, blah blah blah. But like, if again, I was in class 1 with my horse.
Yeah,
it's not profitable for me to spend $5 and lose 4 or 5 times a day. And if there's a way for me to avoid that, well, then I'm going to do the smart financial play, and I'm going to go back where I belong. And that may upset people, but I don't like to lose money. Like, it's not fun losing money. Losing sucks, and that's just what it is. And like, a lot of people just don't like it. Like, I'm not taking advantage of anything. Like, it's not like I'm raking in 3 ETH a day by doing this. Like, I'm maintaining my stable and I'm maintaining my bankroll to play the game further. So, a lot of people just they have a bad view on it because they see what like arbitrage and them are doing. Like, all right, you see what they're doing, but put yourself in that situation. Get you a horse that goes to class 1, have fun running up there, and tell me you're having fun, donating $30, $40 a day in races. Just tell me you're having fun, and if you're having fun, I'll believe you.
Well, I think
tell you otherwise.
I think in class 1, it's really the real truth of the matter is they're all trading the same $30 back and forth. They're not making a profit. They're just like Roid Raiders. You know this because you raced a couple of your horses. You're just trading that same money back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth.
Yeah, nothing they've done has incentivized horses to go up to class 1. Like, they seem to keep doing things to punish sandbagging, but the only way that's going to improve is if they incentivize horses to go up in class. Like, the horses, people aren't looking for high buy-in races to race in. They're looking for profit. They're going to go wherever the horse is profitable. So the horse that was profitable in class 5 is it's still only profitable in class 5 with its new changes. It now just has to race in $5 races instead of $15 races. So it's just sort of made it harder for the smaller horses, if anything.
Yeah, I don't actually have a proper solution for that. Because I do see like Aloha Tim was in the $2.50. Like, I jumped in a race, I was like 11th, and then Aloha Tim jumped in 12th, and I was pissed. I was like, oh my god. And people were like, we're in Discord. I was like, man, I hope this guy's computer burns up or something like that. And they're like, damn. I was like, nah, he jumped in this $2.50 race. Why?
It's like when I used to get in free races and I would see like certain stables in free race, and it's like, damn, you really need that $3 more than I do. Like, let me have a chance to win $3 so I can enter a $2 race. You know what I mean? You need it more than I do.
Yeah, that's and that goes to Roid Raider's point is, they're just gonna still make the profit.
That's where people are going to go. They're going to go where the profit is.
Yeah.
At the moment, there's no profit anywhere, so no one's
It's
racing.
tough right now,
Yeah.
The
But
ecosystem.
there's people racing because I'm on it like we'll go off the air. I go right to sleep, and then I'll wake up around 5:30 to stream Australian. I think it's like it'll be 8:30 p.m. there, and I see the same stables running every day when I'm doing my horse evaluations at that time. And then if I come back on around 7 or 8, I see the same ones that are on at that time, and then like there's probably the same group that's on at this time. So now they're taking that $16 US profit for their 10 races. I think that'd be like $160, and however many horses they have, this is 10 horses you can pull. You can pull in what, $1,600 a day. Well,
you gotta win those races. That's the
Yeah,
problem.
you got to win them,
at the
but
moment.
there are some people with some horses like they'll put 2 in.
I'll tell you right now, this is how tough it is. Like I was winning $10 and $15 races with my horse in class 4 and 5. I can't buy a win in a $2 race right now.
Yeah,
Flames every time, 5th, 7th, 5th, 7th, 7th, 5th. Like I can't. The races are just too tough, and to me, like I'm on ice. I haven't raced in a week.
yeah.
Like
Way
it's too
consolidated.
tough right now. I'm again. It's a financial move on my part. I'm not donating money. You know what I mean? I'll just wait for the next tournament and I'll run my bred horses that I feel can qualify, and we'll go from there. And then maybe I'll run paid races because everything will be different then. You know what I mean? Those races will lighten up. See, this is why they need to bring free races back. All these paid races are stacked because there's nowhere else to go.
Yeah.
Like there's just no variety. Like,
but that's why I said they needed 10 classes. I think what was it? Stanley or Tish or you on the PonyPlug said that 5 classes was designed for what, 20,000 horses,
I believe that was Stanley.
and we have over 100,000 horses on the platform now. So
yeah,
but that's
there's no sense. There's no sense of urgency with this.
Yes.
Like the platform blew up literally overnight, and nothing has been. Here we are.
Well, with this, have they talked about the next tournament and the structure of that? Because I feel like if they keep it the exact same way, it's just going to do nothing but amplify the current problems that are existing. Because people will know, oh my gosh, I'm going to get screwed when this tournament is over and free races come back. So I have to now prep. So you're just going to see like a giant shift, and it's just going to like 10x the current issues with the ecosystem.
Yeah,
it's going to consolidate it even further.
Like I said, they have all this information from the first tournament. Hopefully they can figure it out from here and make it,
Yeah, I don't have a solution. I actually do not have a solution. It's just because this is a game where money is involved. And like we were just saying, that same $2.50, man, I'll take the $16 all day, man. That's a Happy Meal or something. You get three meals at McDonald's for that $16. So
that's chicken tenders at a baseball game or something.
That's a 12-pack of Yingling,
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I would like to see a little more sense. I'm from a kitchen background as well, and the number one thing for me when you work in a kitchen is sense of urgency and attention to detail. Those are the 2 things that I look for in people that I work with and that come into work. And I see nothing. I see 0 sense of urgency and 0 attention to detail with what's going on with Zed right now. And again, I understand that there's going to be growing pains, but I'm here for the long haul, and I'm gonna go through the ride and go through the motions with them.
Yeah, it is a ride.
It's gonna suck at times, but like I said, if this game is exactly what I feel it can be in the next year or 2, I'll be happy. Y'all still see me on stream or doing some other stuff. I'll be here.
All right, and I believe the next question, because we're getting long on time.
Yeah, you can blame me for that. I like to talk.
We all do. Hold on, I gotta pull it up. I'll start with Roid Ranger. What is your approach to breed selection? If you're willing to give up secret sauce,
I'm not putting too much stress on it. I think right now you have to breed in stable or use 2 different stables because you get that money, the 56% back, and that makes breeding sustainable. Like if you're breeding outside your stable, you can't spend $500 to breed with a Nakamoto, and it's not going to be worth half that when you try to sell it. If you try to sell it, so definitely I'm breeding within my stable, and really not having much of a strategy. Just putting different combinations together, like a legendary knack with a Genesis Finny, seeing if that works. Trying not to have too high a Z number right now. I think if you go over 15, they're not having much success. So I'm doing all right breeding like 2 legendary Nakamotos together and getting like a Z5. I think also it's important. The Z5 starts like a whole class lower, and that can be so key when if you want to get into a tournament. If you're starting a whole class lower with Z5 compared to a Z4, that's an extra 20 class points to work with if it is a good horse before you get to class 1, where it's probably not going to be winning much. So yeah, try to look at getting Z5s and Z10s, like just over that. So you're starting really low and still having like hopefully a really good base rating. But just yeah, I'm not trying too much, just experimenting for now, and yeah, seeing if something clicks, then I'll keep doing that.
Okay. And so, Doughboy, what is your approach to breed selection if you're willing to give up the secret sauce?
Yeah, mine's pretty straightforward. I really don't pay attention to Z numbers, honestly. That's one thing since day one. It's like I don't care. I don't care about Z numbers. The breed really doesn't matter to me either. From what, like I said, my approach has been consistency, and I look at every stallion that I breed with. Again, if I don't have a mare that's showing me that she produces winning offspring, like I said, my mare is the perfect example, and there's a bunch of other out there, and there's a bunch of stallions out there. To me, my easiest comparison to look at when I look at for breeding is Cougar. To me, has like 30 offspring. I've looked at every single one of them. There's probably maybe 10 or 12 that are unraced. Mm-hmm. And then the rest that are raced, 10 plus have win percentage over 10%. And then the rest, there's maybe 2 of them that are under 5%, and the rest hover between 5 and 10%. So to me, that shows a lot of consistency in the breeding because there's runners and there's winners. So I look for that in stallions. And for mares, it's the same thing. Like I said, my mare, for me, it doesn't matter. I've put her with a Z6 knock exclusive. I put her with a Z10, a Z9. For the maiden tournament, I put her with a Z3, 4, and 5 for the offspring, and all of them run. So that's what I look for when I'm breeding. I want to look at the parent. I want to look at both sides. If one side shows to me that they're producing runners, no matter what, and when I look at 50 races, 25 races, you can't just have like 5 races or 1 race. You got to have that line to see the stats and showing a graph and everything. But if I'm seeing it from one of the sides, and I have a mare that doesn't really produce, and I put her with a stallion that shows that he can produce, and that offspring comes out, I'm going to follow the trend of finding a stallion that produces, or if I have a mare that produces, it doesn't matter, again, what I put her with. Obviously I want the best blood, so my experiment was with the Zabos and the Finnies this time. So I put her with everything, essentially, and she's giving me a winner across every board, whether it's exclusive, Genesis, I put an elite with my Genesis mare, and I got a U distance runner. So, like, it's there's a lot, there's a lot out there. And again, there's some people, they breed for color. Some people just breed because they see the father's an 18% winner. That doesn't mean anything to me. Again, I want to see the offspring chart. I want to see if they're producing winners, if that matters to some people. Yeah, to me, that's my approach to it. Again, it just follows the lines of consistency. I'm not going to put a mare that has an offsprings chart that the 0 starts down here and it just goes backwards at 12. Like, I'm not going to breed her. To me, like, you're showing me you can't produce anything no matter what. So, like, you're done. I wish there, the burn mechanic, I'd burn that horse, but yeah, it's just following lines of consistency. It's different approach for everybody. This is what works for me, and it's what I, when people ask me what I do, this is what I tell them.
I might have found something because I do have the Digital Breeders' Cup coming along. You and Stanley and MJ and Lucky Jack and Zed Retro and a bunch of other content creators helped create it. I may have found like a key, and it's in flames, and I'm going to reveal this to every single person watching the show. You can experiment on your own and see what your success is. But I'm gonna pull up a Know Your Horses screen really fast, and either one of you guys in chat name any horse that you like that's a good racer.
I would just,
Any
I would
horse
name
at all.
my horse.
Any horse on the
Unexpected
entire
birth.
platform.
I'll just name my horse. Unexpected birth.
Unexpected birth.
My nice elite Genesis.
All right. Need one moment to pull this over. And that's a Z22 Buterin Elite. Now I'm going to share screen. Now this doesn't work 100% of the time, but it's a start. And select window, screen 2. All right, allow. Now, Unexpected Birth is born from Doofy's Gift in 3-6 Mafia. Now, according to what's her distance preference?
She's a sprinter for the most
So
part.
1,000 to 1,200. Now I pulled up her parents. Doofy's Gift.
Yeah, he's a donkey.
All right. Definitely donkey. Offspring chart. See the offspring chart?
Yep.
3-6 Mafia. Offspring chart. Do you see the pattern?
So you're saying it's high heat concentration at the same distances?
Yes, for the offsprings.
They share the same offspring though.
Yes.
Like so, all that's coming from Unexpected Birth, 100%. All the flames and the sprints.
You sure? Because I got 5 on it.
That's a distance
180 rate distance. Sipping on some scissor.
That's a mid distance runner who flames.
All right.
So the ones that there's triplets in there. Expected results is one I don't have anymore.
Okay.
Unexpected Journey also sprints,
I
and
don't
that's a full sibling to Unexpected Birth. So all 3 of those flamed at sprints.
Mm-hmm.
But again, this is what I mean about the parents passing down what they passed down. Like, I don't know if it's there yet. I don't think it is. But for my approach, like I said, I know that my offspring sprint that come from her. So that's where I focused on.
All right. So
I feel like you can follow that trend with some.
Yeah. No, it's not 100%. It's not 100. It's not 100% from what I said. But like, if you call up a different horse, if you think of a different horse, you're gonna see like something really similar between the parents and the offsprings they produce. Now we know they don't pass down their own distance preference, but I believe they pass down a distance preference for their offsprings. And a lot of I think I've done this about 6 times. I didn't look into every single horse. That's why I asked you to just give me a horse.
Sure.
And then I'd look into that. And it's showing and proving that if you look at what the parents produce, they tend to keep producing horses that run at the same distance, the same distances. And so if you get together 2 horses that produce horses that run at the same distance preference, then you probably have a better shot of producing a beast of a horse.
That's the thought process in real life, but a lot of people just don't believe that for the game yet. I mean, listen, again, you can't tell anyone they're wrong for these hypotheses and these theories and everything because everyone plays it differently.
Yep.
The only thing that I use the heat distance for the parents, and I think someone said it in chat, is like, I personally enjoy running sprints for my Griffies, but if both parents flame at 2,400, I'll run the horse long the first time. But like most of the time, I like to sprint my horses and see. But I don't really. It's interesting. I don't really pay attention to the flames when breeding. Yeah. Again, like that's my approach is I want to see what the parents are doing and see what their graphs look like and what the charts look like.
Well, all that is an extension of what you're saying.
Sure.
It's looking at the specifics of where their offsprings are, distance preferences are, and so if you look, it's not often enough, like Blazer's saying in the chat, but it does work maybe 60-70% of the time. I don't know if that's a high enough percentage for everybody, but it's better than taking a like rolling the dice.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're using data, which is
Yes.
which you should be doing when you do some of these breeding. Like I said, there's some people out there that just I like this horse, I like this horse, I want an offspring from them. That's fine. There's some people out there that do their calculated breeding. That's also fine. So
That's the breeding game.
yeah,
Just coming up with a theory like that and just playing around with it. And if you can find something that gives you an edge on breeding, then that's awesome. Like
yeah.
you're going to enjoy the game. You're going to make money from the game. So
didn't
like
get
no one's
the-
figured out breeding. It's all about little theories at this stage.
Yeah.
Discovery's a lot of
bloodlines in
fun.
real life didn't get developed,
Fun.
over 2 or 3 weeks of producing children. It took years to develop these bloodlines in real life. Again, it's going to take a year. It's going to take a while until we can, have that same crossover essentially, where we have all that data and we can see where it matters and where it comes from and what gets passed down. So, again, we're very early to the game. That's why I'm very excited for the future when things start to get tightened up a little bit
And so
we have a fully functioning game.
we normally ask one more question, and then I have 2 questions in chat. MJ, you wanna hit it?
Yeah, sure. Do you guys have any superstitions when it comes to Zed? Anything you like to do? Any gate preferences? Anything at all?
I don't at all.
I'm not
Oh,
a very superstitious person.
Yeah.
I don't care about gate much. One thing I have been doing lately, when I watch races on 2D, I'll put my hand up and cover every other horse except mine, and then just sort of watch mine and then see where it finishes, and then take my hand away at the end, and I've come first or last. That was during the tournament when it was just every race was do or die. When I was on 50%, just trying to get in, and I was stressing out. And I'd like just watching my horse, just seeing how it does, and then worrying about the rest of the field later. But
a lot of people that put a lot of thought into this gate preference. I'm gonna tell you right now, you're not gonna like it. Gate preference means literal nothing when you run in a straight line. All right. If we run in circles, then y'all can talk about your gate preference and everything else. But until then, we're running a straight line. You got no preference. The one thing I would like to see them do is get rid of choosing gate 1 through 12 and just entering a race. And when it's full, you just get a random gate. That's you don't get to pick your gate in real life unless it's like the Breeders' Cup or the Kentucky Derby where they do the draw live. But
I hope it never becomes a thing, gate preference. I think it'd just make the game needlessly.
Again, if we're not running in circles, it shouldn't matter because in real life, when you run sprints, you want to be on the inside.
Yeah.
Because if you get pushed outside, you're running a longer race than everybody else, and it's taking more out of your horse.
In real horse racing, you don't get to choose your gate; it's randomly assigned to you.
It's randomly assigned as well. So you hope that in the sprints you get. So in the longer races, if you get outside, you have time to duck down inside and get your position where
I think
matters.
that's a great idea.
The distance and everything. But I feel like people fighting for gates is just it's a pain in the ass. There's no reason for it. I want to enter this race. All right, here's my 250. All right, I'm entered. That's all it should be. All right, race is full. All right, here's the gates. Let's go. That's it.
Right. And so here goes the first question for the stream. I'll start with MJ because he tagged you in it. It's coming from JMO. He said, question for the panel at MJ Stables. What is the price you guys would pay for a good parent's UU?
I wouldn't give it a premium because that's still a dice roll to me. The way I think about breeding. I would, in a perfect world, UU would fall somewhere between the floor and the breeding cost. And so that way the whoever bred it could get a little something on it. And then within there, sure, you could place a premium within that scale. And maybe that's better than the horse that's raced 50 times and hasn't won anything. A little higher, but not much. I think you see a little of that in Zabo Genesis currently. I haven't looked at the other markets too much recently. But yeah, I think it has to be in that spot. I wouldn't give that as, I don't think I can answer that with a specific ETH value. But that's kind of where I think it should be positioned in order to like have a stable economy.
And so, LJ, sorry, Doughboy.
Yeah, I mean, again, I'm not going to pay a premium if I look at your mare and I look at your stallion of the parents and they're just producing donkeys. Like, I'm not going to give you a premium. Like, I feel like after like 2 more breeds off of my mare, I'll be at the point where I have over 10 foals who all have loaded races, over 100 races, and still hold the same win percentage. At that point, I'll charge a premium. Why are you charging a premium? Here's why.
Yeah.
Here's my data. Here's my information on why I'm charging more for this horse than I am for this horse.
Yeah,
If you don't
right.
like it, that's all right. You don't have to like it. I'll just keep it, And when I decide to run it, I know what the potential of this horse will be. In real life, you don't get to walk up to a breeder and say, hey, I want to pay you $1,000 for this horse, even though this mare has given me, graded stakes winners. That's not how that works. If my mare is producing graded stakes winners, you're paying a premium. You're paying $1 million. Like, you're paying that number, and that's how it is in real life. And I was telling Stanley about this. We're gonna get to a point. I showed him a breed book where you go through and it has all the foals. It shows you the mother, the father, the grandparents, and the great grandparents, and underneath it shows the description of the mother's children. Dam of 6 offspring, 5 of racing age, 4 graded stakes winners, XYZ in earnings. People look for that in real life because that's consistency. This horse has 6 offspring, 5 of them made it to the races, 4 of them are graded stakes champions. This offspring is going to go for a premium. At that point, you don't have to look at the father. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
we'll get there at some point in this game. I said.
The question though is, what say you for your horses specifically that breeds pretty well at 1,000 meters. What would you sell? Or in another case, like if somebody had a horse with proven parents, what would you pay for?
Depending on the breed, like I guess it would depend on the sire of the, what the breed cost was. But like if I had to spend $400 to breed with a Z3, you know what I mean? I'm going to charge maybe 3 or 4. I would ask 3 or 4x what that breed cost was. But that's just like a number. Like I'm not saying I want 4x for my offspring. Like I would feel that's a premium that someone could charge.
Yes. Okay. And for you as well, Roid Major.
Yeah, I think the key is what is a good parent. If they're good racers, then if both parents are good racers, I wouldn't put much of a premium on the offspring. But if the parents have shown that they can be good breeders and maybe there's like a full brother or sister that's a really good racer to this unraced horse, then it probably deserves a little bit of a premium over like what the base unraced costs, but not too much. Like I think if you have one of those horses, you should probably just race it yourself.
And that's what it comes down to, because you're not going to get people that are going to want to pay the premium, which is again, that's fine.
Right.
That's market.
I know what I have, so I'm okay keeping it at that point. You know what I mean? Like,
if you think it'll be a good racer, race it yourself.
Yes,
you've got nothing to lose, really.
Right.
I mean, to answer Jammo's question, what I'm prepared to pay. Like, again, I'm not much of a. I don't really go out and buy UUs. Obviously I breed mine. But again, if that information is present to me and I can look up the information on both parents and see that it passes my line test, like 3x what the breed cost would be, maybe, 2-3x, like, but it's just again, right now it's just hard to do that because you can go get a UU cross for like $50, or you can get an exclusive for $100. Like you can get legendary buttes for $120. Like it's
no one's
hard right now. It's just hard. Like it's just really hard to do any of the stuff that we just talked about. Like you can't profit off breeding at the moment. It's just really hard.
Yeah.
And paying a premium for these unraced horses at this moment in time is just not realistic. So this all this conversation that happens now will be great in a year from now, or 8 months from now when we have more. So this is when people come back to look for content and look for information on certain things. They'll see what we're going through now, and then they'll say, all this stuff is relevant 8 months from now. So this is good. Let's go.
And so the second question is, Um, this is probably for the entire panel. Comes from UFO Nut. Did the free races during the tourney qualifying provide relevant data?
Data for what?
My guess
Just,
is
just figuring out your horses.
Figuring
yes.
out.
Yeah, I mean, you're allowed to figure out, like, from running free races, you'll be able to figure out what their distance preference is. You use that information then to test paid races. If you're not flaming in paid races and you're flaming in free races, well, you have a free horse. You know, you have a potential tournament horse at that point. Like, you're not gonna, you might not hang in paid races. I have one that's like that. Loves free races, loves to win. Will not pick their feet up in free race or in paid races, in $2 races. But also $2 races are extremely tough right now. So, you know,
But it's been like that. It's been like that for ages.
There was a stretch where it was actually it was fun because 3 months ago I had a lot, like my bred horses from the start, they couldn't run because all the races were stacked.
Mm-hmm.
When they fixed the free races and added real purses to it, all those horses were able to run because some of the horses that were focused on the 250 races focused on free races. So then 250 races became slightly easier. But now there's nowhere to go, so all those races are just jammed up right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I feel I got, you know, again, my own races I saved for the maiden tournament, and I got all the information I needed from that. Now it's just testing the paid races with those horses and see if it carries over. If it carries over, then clearly I'm happy, you know. If not, then, you know, we got tournament contenders potentially.
And so, Roid Rager, do you think the free races during the tourney provided good data?
They weren't useless. Definitely, the data had some value to it, but yeah, you need to then. Not every horse can transfer that to paid races. So I think I agree with what Doughboy said, that you need to know a bit more. Like, you're certainly not going to pay like 5 Ethereum for a horse that's not run paid races ever. So that's but you could have a good tournament horse if it's done well in free races, and you should definitely try paid races if you are doing well in free races.
And to you as well, MJ.
It's a donkey qualifier to me. If I'm not pulling any flames and not performing in free, then okay, I'm not gonna do anything with this horse. And if I, given the nature of how Zed was set up, if I was getting flames and I was probably performing well, when they turn off free races and go to paid, I'm probably like SOL in a class that I shouldn't be in, just because of how that horse performed. So, because usually that translation is usually not, in my opinion, a 1-to-1 of like, hey, well, I can pull flames in class 3 free. I'm probably not going to pull flames and perform nearly the same in class 3 paid, even if it is the lowest. What is that, $250, $5? It just, so then that crossover when we go back is really going to, in a way, kind of be harmful and detrimental.
And so I'll also answer this question and say I agree with everybody's analysis. It is a metric for determining your horse's distance preference, and you should probably see who you raced against, and then go from there because there is a hierarchy in Zed, and the race algorithm does go off of who's in the race. And so, if the people who were in the race that you might have won or lost or whatever were in that race, you can definitely determine how well your horse can run. But it's going to be looking up the data of the other races in that horse that were in that race, and you can get a good metric on where and how well your horse performs.
There were some strong class 1 free races, like the strongest races you could ever possibly see. There was like Breathless Edge, Ready Set Boom. Everyone was in the class 1 free races. So if you were performing well in those, like, that's a really good sign.
Yes.
A lot of the, you know, and that's one of the things I said, like, I feel like this tournament was very beneficial to the higher Z numbers, Z1s and 2s. And there were a lot of Z1s and 2s that we haven't seen in months that we saw during the tournament, which was great to see because obviously you want to see the monster Z1s out there. You know, even though they're free races, again, they were competitive free races. So
yeah, well, they just saw no reason to race in Class 1 in paid races. It's like, what's in it for them? They could maybe grind out a small profit, but what's
the one thing I said, and we tested it out, is I want to see how. There's no incentive for these big horses to come out and race. I personally, I want to give incentives. So when we did our first high stakes tournament, PonyPlug, we saw some of the bigger horses come out. You know, we didn't have. I think we had 40 entries at what, $250 a pop or 150 a pop, which is great. But that's an incentive. That was basically me saying, all right, here's an olive branch. Let me see what you got. Show me these horses that you're not running, because winning $500 is nothing to you. You know, winning $1,500, and that's different. So show me. Yeah, it's basically give me a reason to race my horses, and I feel like there's going to be more of a reason now with these on-site tournaments as well.
And so the last question before we wrap it up, and it goes. This one is specifically for Roid Rager, and I think Doughboy liked the question, as well as other fans of streamers. And so, Roid Rager, there's two things that I'm going to ask, and hopefully Doughboy could get on it. And if Sean Versal is lurking somewhere, two things I'd like to ask you if you would like to get involved with. One is stable duels. Sometime in the future, maybe if Lucky Jack still terrorized, if you want to come on and try to beat him in the stable duels, because this is your first live stream, and you do have fans and stuff. You do have a great stable, and you're like legendary in the community. Would you be willing to jump on a stable duel?
I'd love to jump in stable duels. I actually messaged somebody about it like months ago, but no one ever got back to me. So
you gotta listen. If you want something done, you gotta reach out to me. I'll tell you right now. I'm telling you right now. Zook is terrible at looking at DMs, and Stanley, you literally have to tag him like 6 or 7 times just to get his attention, and he'll tell you the same thing. You literally have to annoy me until I answer. But if you want something like push to the front of the line, you gotta come to me, because I'll take that stuff serious. I want more people. I want to reach out. Like I reached out to GVG because I want them on, because I love their stable. I think it's great. I have you'll go on the next voting ballot. We pick four stables a month, and we let the community vote on who comes up. So
awesome.
The bigger stables, the bigger stables, usually get pushed to the front. Zook's been trying this 3-way duels out. I told him, I said, I'm not a fan of this. This is not a duel to me. So I'm hoping we go back to the traditional head-to-head duel. But yeah, I'll get you on.
No, I love watching it.
Just come through me.
More than happy to get on.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then for Sean Versal just started something called high stakes stable duels. Where they're going to duel every single weekend with, I think, like a $1,000 buy-in or something like that, and then like every race, like you get more, and then the other stables are betting on the side. Like last week, they had like Souls Vanish and Doofy, or Two Fools and Doofy, and Zombie was in it, and so. Like, I'm going to ask on behalf of him if they could get you in there. Pac Sandman was in there. I see you, Blaze, with the Pac logo, which is off of the Raiders logo. So,
Was that the one that was yesterday? Did they run it? Yeah, the Two Fools guys did reach out to me about that. And I'm definitely keen to go on sometime. The only issue was it's like a Sunday morning my time. And I've got to spend some time with the family on Sunday mornings, but I can definitely get away for one of those for sure. I told them to reach out if ever they need someone. But I don't know about $1,000 each race. Like,
no, I don't know if it was $100 each race, and it was like 6 races.
Probably do 100, yeah. I don't want to be down like $10,000.
Yeah, no doubt. I would.
I think that's a really good idea, and it gives some incentive for the good horses to come out and play. And I think I've got some ones that can compete against like Mulla Mulla and stuff now. So or maybe not. I don't have a long distance horse. Oh, I do actually. I bought one, Wavelength, but I keep forgetting. I've got the stable now that I think can compete and
All right.
like that. So love to try.
All right. So, um, thanks everybody for showing up tonight, and I have to do a special thanks to both of you, Doughboy and Roid Rager, for coming on to the show tonight, and thank you for my co-host MJ for, you know, helping out as well, and also asking these great questions. And everyone have a great day. I'm gonna leave it with the digital breeder cup tokens will be printed tomorrow. You'll be able to mint them on OpenSea. And I'll be streaming at 5:30 a.m. or I think it's 8:30 p.m. Australian time as well, like normal.
Oh, good. Appreciate you having me on. It was fun.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. It's been lots of fun.